2 will reach the edge of the DeepSpace tunnel's umbra within 1 day. Our journey through the DeepSpace tunnel begins. Destination is in the Orion arm of the Milky Way. Once the home of humanity, Earth. Activating course correction engine. The final countdown has been initiated.
This galaxy's name is derived from the old word philo. It's the most exquisite gem in deep space. Philos. Humanity remains shackled to time. Fortunately, there are other lives in this boundless, starry sea. Tonight's weather, clear sky with winds around 7 miles an hour. Everything is serene inside the deep space tunnel. Good night, Lincoln City. May you rest in the Milky Way's embrace, drifting in long and happy dreams.
As we embark on an irreversible journey, let us wield light as our sword to cut down the falling stars blocking our path.
As the cosmos dances to the tune of eternity, life will reach the fathomless depths of deep space.
The tide is about to rise. And this time, an oath will be sworn with Lemuria's blood. Let's reshape destiny.
Never-ending winter. All Zayne sees is a world of ice and snow. He steps over dozens of bodies, blood still dripping from his hands. With a wave, dark crystals pierce through several others still struggling. There are no screams. It's so quiet that only the sound of his own footsteps can be heard. There's only a shivering little boy. Zayne stands before him, his shadow looming across the boy's blood-covered face. Afraid, the boy is silent. He can only look up at Zayne with wide, shining eyes. After a moment of silence, the wind rises. Zayne raises his hand, dark crystals once again forming on his palm. Ladies and gentlemen, we will arrive at Marin Airport in 30 minutes. Please fasten your seatbelts. Following the slightly mechanical-sounding announcement, Zayne opens his eyes. There's no snow, no death. Everything is as peaceful, calm as it always is. Zayne takes one of the plane's disinfectant wipes and cleans the non-existent blood off his hands. These hands have mended heart valves and saved hearts, yet for the past 10 years these same hands have ended countless lives in an endlessly repeating dream. Zayne, we're almost there. His mentor's voice interrupts his thoughts. Beside him, the energetic professor notices Zayne's serious expression. It's normal to be nervous. You only just started working, and now you're being sent to the Arctic for an important rescue mission. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. There's a lot of traffic at Mount Eternal. Once the medical team arrives at Marin Airport, a helicopter takes them to the EVOL Special Rescue Unit's location. In the unsteady helicopter, Zayne ignores his discomfort and looks out the window. Outside, as a flurry of snow slowly dissipates, the foreboding Mount Eternal comes into view. The rescue unit is stationed on the mountain's southern side. The snow has stopped, and the ground, an ugly color from the muddy water, is covered in footprints. Before he can even get to the area for cardiac surgery, Zayne hears the faint sounds of sirens behind him. Turning around, he sees several ambulances speeding in his direction. Dozens of medics emerge from the various tents around him, ready to go. Make way! Make way! What happened? Open fracture on the lower left leg, major artery damage. Specific details unclear. Apply pressure to stop the bleeding first. What's their blood pressure? What's their heart rate? In the blink of an eye, the narrow space becomes more crowded. It's different from the organized chaos in regular hospitals. Right now, everything in front of him is more urgent, rushed. Are there any surgeons? We need a cardiac surgeon. Dr. William and the others are still in the operating room. Zayne hurries over. I'm Zayne from the medical team. How's the patient? 23-year-old soldier, body temperature at 36.3 degrees Celsius, respiratory rate 10 BPM, heart rate 125 BPM. Diastolic 70, systolic 90, unconscious, penetrating cardiac trauma from a sharp object relating in intrapericardial hemorrhage. Cardiac tamponade, the doctor quickly reports. Prepare a blood transfusion, Zayne says to the nurse. The patient is transferred to the hospital bed as the nurse rushes in with the crash cart. Zayne cuts open the patient's clothes and discovers a bullet fragment lodged deep in the chest cavity. Zayne, Dr. Zayne, right? The nurse hooks up the patient to an IV bag. The patient's heart rate is below 50 BPM. Zayne puts on his gloves as he watches the dropping blood pressure. We need to operate now. But an urgent alert from the monitor interrupts the nurse, and Zayne's expression changes. The patient's heart has stopped. Get an oxygen mask, prepare the bag valve mask, and notify the anesthesiologist to assist with intubation. The nurse promptly does as she's told. But Dr. Zayne, what should we do? The bullet fragment is still in his chest cavity. We can't perform chest compressions. Then we proceed with open chest cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Bring the thoracotomy instruments and contact the operating room nurse to prepare the OR. She's shocked. OC CPR? Hurry! Donning protective clothing, Zayne disinfects himself. With a steady hand, he cuts along the left side of the sternum, slicing the subcutaneous tissue and muscle with an electrosurgical knife. In one seamless motion, the pleural cavity is opened, revealing the bullet fragment and the pericardium, which continues to bleed. Zayne remembers the cardiac ultrasound image shown to him by the doctor, confirming that removing the bullet fragment wouldn't cause further harm to the patient. Without hesitation, he makes incisions along the pericardium and extracts the fragment. The blood accumulated within the pericardium gushes out. The suction device in his hand is already in position. Suture. The suction is complete within a matter of seconds. I found the source of the bleeding, yet the patient's heartbeat still hasn't resumed. Without a moment's hesitation, Zayne reaches into the patient's pericardial cavity and grasps the still heart. The nurse can't help but gasp. While it's theoretically feasible, every medical professional knows the immense difficulty and low success rate of performing emergency open-chest CPR. Zayne, however, remains completely focused. He gently squeezes the heart with the utmost care, one beat at a time. The harsh winds cut through the thick tent and dozens of heaters. The chill flows in from the gaps and washes over the bed. The nurse tightly closes the curtains next to her, only to see tiny beads of sweat forming on Zayne's forehead. Beep, 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 beep. The blaring alarm stops, and the heart in his hand begins to beat. Zayne glances at the ECG monitor. Only then does his tense nerves slightly loosen. The operating room is ready, Dr. Zayne. What happened, Zayne? His instructor hurries over. When he takes in what occurred, he breathes out a sigh of relief. Good work, Zayne. Let's move him to the OR. The area around the hospital bed becomes busy once more. As Zayne is about to stand up, his gaze lingers on the eval monitor on the soldier's bedside. For a moment, the originally steady beat suddenly spikes to the top of the screen. The surgery went well. Back at the ward, Zayne looks up at the blinding light above him to gather himself. Only when he drinks a glass of cold water does the tightness in his heart slightly loosen. Zayne? A person in military doctor's uniform pokes his head into the room. Hearing the other man say his name, Zayne frowns in confusion. The man laughs. 35th cohort of the Skyhaven School of Medicine. Medical Sciences, MD, PhD, 8-year program, right? Seeing as Zayne still doesn't recognize him, the man stands up straight. 31st cohort of the Skyhaven School of Medicine, now a medic of the Eval Special Rescue Unit. William, at your service. As some memories resurface, Zayne's expression relaxes. William. William is a fellow cardiac surgeon. When Zayne worked as an intern, William took him under his wing. William pats him on the arm and says, Time flies. You're a real doctor now. Seeing the documents in Zayne's hands, William takes and flips through them. Is it serious? It's currently under control. Zayne puts his pen back into his breast pocket. He runs his fingers down the indents of the notebook inside, parallel to each other, and right atop his heart. He lowers his hand and accompanies William to the ward. When did you arrive? The night of the incident, William says. Seeing Zayne look around, he smiles bitterly. Bad, right? But it's already a lot better than before. I'll show you around. There are a couple of tricky patients at the moment. They've all been buried in the snow for too long after being attacked by wanderers, especially the one who just got a heart transplant. We might need your help with... A distant roar resounds, followed closely by a loud sound of collapsing snow and gravel. William sighs. Seems like we won't be getting any sleep tonight either. Let's go. Might be a while before the injured arrive. We'll talk in the meantime. Zayne follows William. He turns around to see the distant Mount Eternal lit up, as bright as day, by flash bombs. Zayne hasn't left the ward for several days. The battle rages on, with the wounded being sent in one by one. Just as Zayne releases soldiers who arrived for treatment earlier that day, 3 bloody stretchers get pushed in. Most can't handle the long hours and stress. 4 people already collapsed from his medical team alone. Taking over yet another exhausted colleague's patient in critical condition, Zayne leaves instructions before he adjusts the ventilator. He makes 2 rounds around the ward, and after confirming everything is as it should be, walks out of the tent for the breather. The freezing air in his lungs wakes him up. It's late, and the giant searchlight covers the snow. In the dark, Mount Eternal looks like a sleeping beast. "Are you still working, Dr. Zayne?" A passing soldier carrying steel greets him. Zayne nods. "Captain Xander?" Zayne helped 2 soldiers under the captain's command, and they became friends. The captain stomps his snow-covered boots. "It's cold out there, Dr. Zayne. Why don't you go in and rest? I haven't seen you take a break for days." "I just woke up," Zayne says. In truth, he can't even remember when was the last time he closed his eyes. The continuous resuscitations and surgery are like an endless marathon. He's so exhausted that he doesn't even have the energy to have a nightmare. Besides, the reality he is in right now is far more real, bloody. "What's the steel for?" He changes the subject. "They said we don't have enough wards, so we got asked to get a couple more tents up." Captain Xander wipes the snow off his head. "It's weird. There have been many rescue operations before, and they even gave us new equipment, but somehow more people are injured. Damn, it's almost like there's are endless waves of wanderers." Remembering the recent anomalous eval reports, Zayne ruminates. The sharp sound of an alarm pierces through the calmness, and Zayne is back inside the ward almost instantly. A nurse rushes to him and reports that a soldier is in cardiac arrest. As Zayne listens, his heart sinks. It's the same one he discharged the day before. Administer 1 dose of adrenaline intravenously. "Got it. Where's the defibrillator?" "Almost here." The soldier, who bid him farewell with a smile not long ago, is pale under his oxygen mask, showing hints of blue. One doctor is performing CPR, while another holds the soldier's chin and pinches the breathing bag. A nurse rushes over with a defibrillator. She nimbly slathers the conductive gel on the pads and hands them to Zayne. 360 joules, Zayne mumbles. A muffled bang resounds. The heart monitor continues to beep loudly. Steady. 1, 2, 3. Beep, 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 beep. Again. Beep. The sky slowly brightens. Snow falls once more, sitting atop the tent. William brushes snow off his uniform and enters the ward. He sees Zayne giving instructions and waits by the side. "Give him 2 blood bags." When Zayne finishes, he walks to William. "Are you here for the death certificate, Will?" "Yeah, he was in our team." Zayne walks over to his document-littered desk and opens the drawer. 23, time of death is 5:47 a.m. William sighs. He was too young. His father was also a soldier, killed during that disaster, followed in his footsteps and joined the army. Who knew? Zayne is silent for a moment. "I'm sorry." "You don't need to apologize." William forces himself to smile, trying to lighten up the mood. "You've worked day in and day out without sleep. Everyone knows you tried your best." Zayne doesn't reply, his eyes revealing no emotion. William pauses for a moment. "Zayne, it's normal to want to save everyone since you just started here, but as long as we try, it's okay if we don't save them. We did what we could." He pats Zayne's shoulder. "Don't blame yourself too much." "Thank you, Will. I'm fine." Zayne's phone buzzes in his pocket. He takes it out. "I still have a surgery to attend. I'll take my leave now." He gives William a nod and hurries off to change. Zayne is once again in that world of ice and snow, but this time a white figure stands in place of the corpses of blood. Under the raging blizzard, Zayne walks toward him, dark crystals forming on his hands once more. The figure doesn't move. It's waiting to die. The moment the crystals soar, the wind stops. In that split second, Zayne sees the other man. It's him in a white coat. Zayne opens his eyes. The inside of the tent is dimly lit. His tired colleagues are all nestled in their own simple beds, sleeping soundly. Zayne props himself up with one arm, wipes sweat from his face and neck with his sleeves, and slowly slows his breathing. Reaching under his pillow, he feels for his notebook. Zayne's fingers hesitate for a moment, then he takes it out. The cover's indents now form a complete tally mark, one of which is from today. Since coming here, 3 patients died under his care. He strokes the carved marks. For each one, he visibly remembers every dose of medication, every surgery, and every harrowing recitation. Yet they still died. It's impossible to save everyone. He knows this better than anyone else, yet he still insists, persists. The Grim Reaper in his dreams mocks him for his folly, futility, incompetence. It wants to kill his desire to save everyone. But he's not planning to give up. There's a loud noise. Half the operating room's wall comes crashing down, and a horrible mangled body climbs in from the outside. The medics who are focused on the surgery freeze in fear, unable to even scream, as the Wanderer lunges straight for the operating table. Boom! Just before the Wanderer can reach it, the creature is sent flying past the destroyed wall. Watch the patient. Zayne quickly pulls a surgical drape over the patient's chest. He throws a lancet, and countless sharp crystals embed themselves into the Wanderer. In the blink of an eye, blue smoke fills the room, and a protocore falls to the ground. Everything quiets down, leaving only the gasps of those still in shock. Is the patient still in stable condition? The anesthesiologist grips the table. Yes. Ask if there is an operating room. We'll move there. Zayne looks at the second surgeon's assistant, who's frozen on the ground. Quickly now. The surgery ends without any complications. As Zayne returns to the ward, he hears his colleagues' worried comments about the Wanderers and unrelenting snowstorm. I heard Wanderers attack the operating room. Are you all right? William walks over. When Zayne says it's fine, William lets out a sigh of relief. Remembering why he came here in the first place, he asked in a hushed tone, Hey, did you submit a report to our commander? Why was I told? Zayne. His mentor stands at the entrance to the ward, his expression serious. Come here. A transfer order rests on the desk, stamped with the hospital's red seal. The hospital told you to return. The medical field can't afford to lose another person. His instructor hands the document to Zayne. Pack your things. A car will take you to the airport later. When Zayne doesn't move, the old professor snaps. I know what you're thinking, but now is not the time for you to show off. Being able to deduce a change in Mount Eternal's protofield from the patient's abnormalities is helpful to the mission, but that's where your duty ends. He once again shoves the paper in Zayne's hands. Med school didn't teach you everything so you could die young. I'm enough for the cardiac surgical team here. Zayne clenches his hands. I'm sorry, but I have to stay. He takes out a pass. 2 lines engraved deeply into the card by the HQ stamp. Name, Zayne, Detachment, Evol Special Rescue Unit, Special Operations. I am going to the center of Mount Eternal's protofield to assist them. When did you... The professor is furious. He slams the table. Even if you want to study the cause of the patient's changes, the protofield's abnormalities could lead to even greater tragedies. If you... He doesn't want to say anymore. Zayne looks at his instructor's gray hair and steps forward to hold his hand. This is my duty. Don't worry. I'll return, safe and sound. If he can't save everyone, then he'll go to the root of the problem and eliminate it. Leaving the tent, William takes a deep breath. Empathize with him, will you? It's hard to train a doctor. On top of that, you're his favorite. Of course he wouldn't want you to risk your life. But don't worry. He shows his card similar to Zayne's. As a fellow doctor, I'll make sure you get back unharmed. Zayne is surprised for a moment. Then he relaxes. Thank you, William. William smiles and stretches his hand out to him. Welcome to the team. A week later, a special operations team composed of 30 elite members entered Mount Eternal fully armed. Our mission is to find the center of the protofield and eliminate it to stop the creation of Wanderers. The speculated location is in the valley of the northern cliff. This operation is more difficult and even more dangerous than any others before, so you must all strictly follow orders and do everything in the name of safety. As leader of the group, Captain Xander pauses his lecture about precautions to grab a map. William comes over and asks Zayne, Who did you address your will to? He's curious about whom Zayne, emotionless as he is, holds dear in his heart. Zayne instead deflects the question, Who did you address yours to? William coughs and says in a different voice, I'll introduce you when we get back." Despite being mentally prepared, Zayne didn't expect getting back to become an unattainable luxury. As they venture deeper into the mountain range, the terrain becomes more treacherous and the energy fluctuations more violent. For each step forward, the operations team has to fight, costing them time and energy. With every teammate that falls, the tally marks on Zayne's notebook increase. At the same time, he goes from being a combat medic to a soldier. Still, the bloodshed doesn't let up. The Grim Reaper in his dreams appears once again, staring at him with cold eyes. With another narrow escape from death, Captain Xander has to make a decision. They alone cannot hold back the protofield's energy fluctuations. If they keep going, it will only lead to more casualties. They must act quickly and destroy the protofield center. When William returns to the tent, Zayne is dressing his wounds. The large injury on his right arm is open again, blood oozing out. William sighs and hands him a bottle of medication. "As a doctor, shouldn't you know how important your arm is? There are other ways of saving people that don't involve you taking hits from wanderers on their behalf." "I know what I'm doing." "I don't think you do." William asks Zayne, "I've always felt like you're more desperate than others when it comes to saving people. I've seen dedicated medical staff, but none as persistent as you. Is something weighing you down?" "No," Zayne answers. "There is." "Not at all." Once Zayne is done dressing his wound, he takes out his sleeping bag and lies down in a way to show he wishes to rest and not be disturbed. William remains where he is, clearly unwilling to leave until he gets an answer. The two are at a stalemate. In the end, Zayne admits defeat. "Years ago," he says after a long time, "I almost killed someone important." William is surprised. "What happened?" Holding the ice-cold arrow with his right hand, Zayne lets it go. "I lost control of my evol." That night, the blood in his hands kept dripping onto the ground, dripping into his dreams. The summer when he was 12 was extraordinarily long. Every little thing, like the ivy climbing up the courtyard wall, the stalls that sell popsicles, the swings in the park, is clear in his mind as if it were yesterday. A snowstorm ended that summer. It was the first time a black-robed Grim Reaper appeared in his dreams. The day grows shorter. The night, with the relentless snowstorm, descends on Mount Eternal. By the time the team reaches the valley, they are down to less than half their original number. Outside, the blizzard rages on, yet inside, it's strangely calm. The dense forest is filled with dead trees, standing tall like tombstones. A faint blue light flickers on the black, broken branches. The continuous ringing of the detection alarm and the sight in front of them all point to one thing: the protofield center. Looking at the scarred but determined faces of his teammates, Captain Xander says in a deep voice, "Let's begin." "Yes, sir." Everyone quickly and quietly gets ready to destroy the protofield center. Orientator calibration done. Electrical current ready. Metaflux barrier test initiated. 1. Bunker is ready. Anti-protofield system setup complete. Limit of protofield strength reached. Transmission progress at 75%. Magnetic field coordinates confirmed 57, 31, 64. Transmission progress has reached 100%. Everything is ready. In an instant, a deafening roar fills the air. Sand and rock fragments fly through the valley along with millions of energy particles. The blizzard rushes in. The violent energy fluctuation causes dozens of wanderers to gather. Captain Xander, shocked, yells into the howling wind, "Stay alert! Don't fall asleep! There are wanderers!" At the sight of one of the creatures swinging a weapon at an unconscious teammate, he lunges at it. Clang! A wall of ice several meters high erupts from the ground and pierces the wanderer's protocores. Zayne grips his right arm with his left. He uses his evil to freeze his weak legs, forcing himself to stand. "Get them to safety first. I'll handle this." Several icicles pierce the wanderers. He grits his teeth. His mouth tastes like rust. A large energy fluctuation has been detected on the north side of Mount Eternal. Metaflux levels have surpassed the 3rd threshold. Target area is shifting. Signal re-established. After disappearing for so long, HQ finally gets a signal from the operations team. Within the garrison, everyone gets to work. The commander picks up the intercom and says, "The protofield in Mount Eternal has been destroyed. I repeat, the protofield in Mount Eternal has been destroyed. All units, head to Mount Eternal and bring back special operations." The sun is rising. Peace returns to the valley. Crackle. Operations. crackle. Operation, do you read? A hand reaches out from the snow and presses down on the walkie-talkie's button. Operations, copy. 294, we'll be there soon. What's the situation? Are there any casualties? Casualties. Zayne struggles to stand up and sees his teammates scattered across the snow, unconscious. Using all of his strength, he drags them out and checks their breathing, pulses, and injuries. 2 broken arms and 1 possible concussion. Hearing a familiar voice, Zayne moves to the other side of the destroyed wall and finds William talking. Noticing Zayne, William happily waves at him, but winces when it opens his wounds. The remaining smoke from the explosion finally disappears, revealing a gaping hole at the bottom of the valley. Although shocking, it's proof of the protofield's destruction. After checking the vital signs of the remaining teammates, William sighs in relief. Zayne, he says with a smile, we can go back. Indeed. Sunlight filters through the clouds and fog. Zayne's heart, always so wound up and tight, finally relaxes. The frozen apocalypse of his dreams did not become reality. There should be some heating equipment left in the bunker. I'll go look. William pats some snow off him and starts walking. Zayne returns to his senses and is about to help when he stops in his track. Will. What is it? William turns around. Unable to speak, Zayne points. Confused, William looks down. An eerie blue glow appears on his chest. Crystals, beautiful and sinister, slowly begin to spread. What is this? Suspicious, William touches them. He finds the fine black crystals are now growing on his hands and sting. He tries to wipe them off, fling them off, even uses Evol to get rid of them. The crystals continue to grow. Sensing something is wrong, Zayne reaches out and is about to touch William's chest when it all happens so suddenly. The crystals accumulate, and William's expression goes from surprise to panic. What's going on? But the crystals don't give him any time to react. Within seconds, his limbs corrode, twisting into uncomfortable, strange positions. The air around him explodes. Zayne is tossed several feet back. Will! Stay away from me, William shouts. His bones and muscles are torn and start to dissolve. He cries out in pain. Zayne grits his teeth and forces himself to calm down. He tries to use his Evol to freeze the crystals. Frost covers William's body, halting the crystals only for a few seconds. It didn't stop them from spreading. A few seconds should be enough. Zayne holds his breath, gathering frost once more. Zayne! The crystals explode. Zayne feels a sharp pain across his forehead, blood blurring his vision. He staggers and hears William shout through the pain, Forget it! Leave me too! Before he can finish, countless crystal fragments fly at Zayne. Zayne barely dodges them as he tries to fight against the crystals on William's body using Evol. However, his body begins to fail him. Pain explodes through his shoulder, fragments embedding themselves in his flesh. Zayne trembles. No, you'll get taken down with me. The crystals consuming bone, devouring marrow, climb to his neck. His arms, moving on their own, attack Zayne. William watches with dread as his body becomes twisted and gnarled. It's already too late. Kill me. Zayne's mind goes blank. There's still hope, as long as I can freeze it. Blood fills his mouth. He grits his teeth. Hold on, please. Again and again, the ice tries to freeze the horrifying black crystals. They fail again and again and again. It's no use. As if a million little knives are piercing through his head, Williams uses his remaining strength to say, Help me. Help me. The tissue underneath the crystals rapidly forms a strange shell. For the first time, Zayne realizes that life, which always represents hope and salvation, can be terrifyingly ugly. His movements slow down. What can he do? Can he do anything? He can't. Not anymore. Living like a monster with no hope for deliverance. Is that redemption? Crystals have encased William's body, leaving only his eyes, which stare at Zayne with a mix of pain and hope. The figures in Zayne nightmares verge with William. Their expressions are distorted by pain, their bodies twisted into grotesque positions, unable to speak, their minds gone, their eyes can only beg, Kill me. Kill me. I don't want to become a monster. Snow falls again. Zayne moves his stiff fingers. The icicles in his palm are coated in blood, soaked with a boundless black. William's body takes a few steps and falls, eventually dissipating into grayish-blue smoke. The people he killed in his dreams appear once more. Body after body sprawled in front of him, turning the valley into a giant tomb. The wind reverberates into a mournful howl, sounding like a sorrowful cry from the sky, or the cries and wails of countless people on the verge of death. Warm, sticky blood gurgles, melting the crystallized snow, which quickly freezes again. It melts and freezes over and over, turning into a tombstone. Zayne watches one of these winding trails of blood. His blood. He looks up. The Grim Reaper stands in the distance, watching him on the snowy mountain covered in blood and death. 3 years later. The surgery will be difficult, but we'll try it. Transfer him here. Zayne finishes his remote consultation in his office when Grayson knocks on the door. Dr. Zayne, here's the Lind Award. He carefully puts down the box. Did you actually ask them to deliver this? It's a very prestigious award in the field of medicine. I can't believe you didn't even go to the ceremony. I had an outpatient to take care of that day. I couldn't go. Grayson is shocked. Was it not possible to reschedule? Some patients book 2 to 3 months in advance so they can have time to travel. I can't reschedule. He looks over his computer screen. Do you have nothing else to do? Grayson leaves immediately. After his work is complete, Zayne opens the box. Text is etched into the side of the exquisite award. Dr. Zayne successfully performed the world's first abdominal aortic repair using EVOL technology. He saved a patient who was attacked by wanderers. This is both a miracle and a monumental moment in medicine. He shoves the box deep into his drawer, right next to another. Inside is an award that belongs to William. He stares at them quietly. His memory of William's crystal-covered body and his moments of death merge with the abnormal crystals in the patient's heart. The blizzard that covers Mount Eternal appears in front of him once more. The snow buried William's body, and with it, all those secrets. But strange crystals reappeared. The Grim Reaper, hidden in the darkness, opens his merciless eyes once again. This uncertain, cursed fate is far from over.